Reddit. Why did you break up with your last ex? For me, my girlfriend loved having sex. However, I was not always around when she was having it. She was very jealous of any girl I even glimpsed at. We even had an argument because a female classmate told a joke and I smiled. She also threatened to kill herself if I left her. Because several people asked. No. She didn't kill herself. And something I wrote in another comment. She made it very hard to take her threat seriously. She actually texted me that she had stabbed herself with a knife and was lying in a pool of her own blood. The voice in my head says that she's probably crazy. She FK'd one of my friends and got pregnant while I was working my ass off here in Korea. You should FCK one of her friends and then get pregnant. Long distance was ruining our relationship. It turned out to be a good decision. We're good friends to this day and it's been over 2 years. Because he hooked up with another girl in front of me the night my uncle died of cancer. He also used to eat flowers and pretend he was a tiger every time he was drunk. Edit. He also took his shirt off every time he blacked out at the bar and made 3 of my friends my Eskimo sisters while we were seeing each other. He was also creepily obsessed with Taylor Swift and compared me to her all the time. She cheated on me. Then cried and I forgave her. Soon. I realized I just could not trust her. When she went out with her friends and I just couldn't trust her. I knew one day she'd do it again. So I broke up with her. She still doesn't talk to me. And still thinks I was the one who ruined our perfect relationship. It wasn't so sudden. It took me a month to break up since she was in the middle of her exams at the time I took the decision. Even though I don't regret being with her. I regret taking their virginity. Edit. After nearly 8 years and a child in the mix. We talk. We get stupid and try to make it work. We were high school sweethearts. But we grew up and chose to be different people. I'm still in love with the memories. That's the nice way to put it. In reality she doesn't want to do anything but have a good time and King lied to me. He kept saying I don't want to marry you anymore. I don't love you. I'm moving out. You can keep the ring and finally I was like. You know what? We're through. Edit. Sorry I thought the sarcasm was obvious. I was dumped. Ultimately. We just weren't a great match. I don't regret being with her. Though I regret that I wasn't a great boyfriend to her for much of the time we were together. I wasn't in a great place emotionally. I was not as good a boyfriend then as she deserved. When I ended it. I'd been thinking of it for a while. And ultimately. It just came down to this. The relationship wasn't making me happy. And I couldn't imagine it was for her. She did absolutely nothing wrong. And I wish her no ill will. We just weren't the right fit. My ex dumped me because I wasn't what she wanted. She said there wasn't anyone else but she was with her next boyfriend almost instantly. Met up twice shortly after. Once just for a drink and a chat. Once to go see a show we had booked together. She acted like a grumpy Winnie bitch when I didn't do all the tea for her, like buy drinks for her. Lunch, which I used to do. Didn't really chat again apart from a very occasional text. Nothing in the last 6 years. Not bothered as just after I met my soul and we have been together married for the last 1/2 years. Still keep in touch with her brother and his girlfriend. He is sound. She went to uni 3.5 hours drive away. Told me everything was going to be okay. And then stopped talking to me. Uni changes people. It can change people. But it brings out who someone already is more often than not. She banged a guy I work with and got pregnant. No, we do not talk. Yes. It was sudden. Yes. I regret it. It was written in the stars that we were not to be together. I'm a Libra. And she's a bitch. I spent far too long checking I wasn't the ex in any of these. Not proud about how I dealt with my last relationship. Edit. As requested, here is the story. Can always try to go into more detail. Never talked to anyone about it though. Went out with this girl for just under a year. Fell for each other scary fast. She was crazy. Had horrible mood swings and had trust issues. Stuck with it. Thought I could fix her because I loved her. I couldn't. Broke up with her at the end of the summer after I realized I had developed depression. Almost gave up. Got help for it. Feeling much better now. I was interested in the girl who I am now married to. She however was seeing someone else. A girl at the store that I was working at asked me out and we dated for a short time. I wasn't really into her. She was very needy and would freak out over stupid shit. I ended up breaking up with her around the same time my wife broke up with the guy that she had been seeing. We started dating. And got married and now have a beautiful daughter. Okay. Jim Halpert. He was still in love with his ex, who's a lesbian. And also his best friend. We do still talk, though this was an extremely recent thing. And are mostly on good terms. He doesn't have a large support group outside of her and me. So, as he tries to get over her, I want to help show him that people other than her can be present and supportive in his life. And I still care about him. So there's that. It was extremely sudden. 2 days after my birthday. When we had been joking and flirting all day the day before. He showed up at my place and tells me he's still in love with her and can't continue to date me because it wouldn't be fair. Which is totally true. If you're in love with another woman, you damn well better not be dating me. And despite everything, I don't regret being with him at all. He brightened my day every day, sometimes he still does, and I met some wonderful friends through him. As well. Do I wish things had gone differently? Hell yes. But I don't regret it for a second. Jokes on you OP. I don't have an ex. Open bracket. Can't we just pretend? For the karma. Nobody has to know. My girlfriend of 2 years broke up with me because my roommate ate a weed brownie. You know there was more to it, right? He's a guy. I'm a lesbian. I didn't want to kiss him. I was 12. We were dating for only a month. The sex was great and we had a lot of fun. But she was really mentally unstable, like constant crying fits and calling me upwards of 15 times a day unstable. So I told her I thought we should end it. She immediately hung up on me. Posted about it on Facebook. Unfriended me and said her Cupid to single all within 5 minutes. Still don't regret it. We had fun but damn that bitch was crazy. What is funny is that you knew all of this happened within 5 minutes. She couldn't tell me the truth if her life depended on it. She broke my trust years ago. But we tried to make it work anyways. I loved her deeply. And she said she loved me. But seeing as how she was a liar, I'm not sure if she ever did. She was in love with the idea of me. She taught me it's okay to lie and manipulate people to get what you want. I'm worse as a person for having loved her. She wanted to stay in the closet. She thought that all of our friends would turn against us. And the thought of me being the only one who supported her wasn't enough. The kicker? We were both freaking theater majors in a sea of gays and lesbians and bisexuals. Because he couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to be with me or not. Tortured me for way too long with his indecision and left me no option but to do the leaving myself. A year later he was engaged to someone else. And they are now expecting a baby around my birthday. So I guess it was the right choice. He's happy now. We have talked a little. But I still have a lot of anger towards him for some of his cruel behavior towards the end, and although I don't regret the relationship, I wish I had left a lot earlier than I did. Wasted a lot of time and made a lot of compromises for what turned out to be a sweet but selfish and cowardly man who didn't really love me after all. Nice try, Taylor Swift. Go somewhere else for your next song ideas. Rubs hands together and cackles. I'm going to make a swift fortune with the answers in this thread. Between her constant threats of suicide and begging for my love while f-king multiple other assholes and emotionally abusing me, making me think that we could make it. It was my first relationship. So I was gullible, and some other stuff I'd rather not share with the class. Basically, never stick your dick in crazy. Ever. He arped me and was trying to control everything about me, from how I dressed to who I could speak to. No, we don't speak anymore. He tries to speak to me when we run into each other, fortunately not that often, and he still protests that he did nothing wrong, given that he tried to add me on Facebook a few years back. I think he might actually believe he did nothing wrong too. Strangely though, I don't regret being with him. It was a learning curve. An awful one, but it taught me some valuable lessons. Plus when we split up I shaved all my hair off to raise money for charity. He had a hair fetish and demanded I never cut it, so this was my little act of rebellion when it was over, and raised you a cute 500 for comic relief. I don't know if I would have ever done that otherwise. She told me that she saw a future with me, wanted to get an apartment together, and that she thought we were great together. She then stopped calling and texting. Didn't want to see me as much. She preferred to hang out with her work friends instead. I got mad that she said all of those things and then acted that way. She dumped me shortly after for being upset. Edit. I just realized that it was a year ago today that we broke up. Time to get drunk. She would always get really upset if there was another pretty girl in the room. It would bother her so much. For some reason, she thought I would be IF king them the whole time. In reality, I barely even paid attention to them. Got to the point where we couldn't even watch movies if there was an attractive actress in the movie. She was very insecure and I couldn't do anything to make her feel better about herself. It took a toll on both of us, and after a year we ended it mutually. We still talk occasionally. Yes. We expected it after a while. Not at all. I still love her. I just can't be with her. If that makes sense. She began to deflate. He ditched me for his JW cult family. I understand that he didn't feel he had much of a choice. They were putting the pressure on and his whole life was tied up with it. It's been almost 3 years and it still kills me. He was my best friend. We in an LDR for 2 years and hardly went an hour without being in contact. We were incredibly close. I don't want to go into the whole story, but she left me, which was entirely justified. I'd been unhappy for a while. We don't talk anymore, but I don't regret being with her. Those were the best times of my life. I've never been so close with someone. This may sound bad, but I had much higher life aspirations than her. We met in college and dated for about 8 months. She was about to graduate with a degree in theater and was more than happy to spend her days working on local theater productions. I was a junior that was anticipating leaving the area for med school or grad school. We do not still talk and are not on good terms because she told everyone that I cheated on her and that's why we broke up. She was crazy. If she felt the need to slander my name to make her feel better that our relationship was over and to try to lie to herself about why it ended, that's fine, because I'd rather her get over me than stay depressed and keep trying to ask me out. The people that really matter to me would know that I didn't cheat, so they wouldn't cast judgment. And they would correct people if they heard them talking trash about me. I don't regret being with her because it was fun while it lasted. And it helped me figure out what is really important to me in a girlfriend. I have a 6-year-old son. I went to my ex-girlfriend's apartment one day and was playing with my son and her daughter in the living room. She was in the kitchen for a while and I could hear a lighter flicking. Went to go see what she was doing and it turns out she was smoking heroin. Needless to say, I grabbed my son and left. Never went back. I do not tell to her anymore and we are not on good terms. It was very sudden, I had no idea she was using and we were dating for about 4 months. I don't regret being with her just because she was a stripper and she knew how to work it. Lol. I do regret leaving her daughter there alone with her though. I learned through a mutual friend about a year later that she gave her daughter up to the father and left the state. She now lives in Texas and is living on the streets and is close to death from all the heroin she uses. I need to go look at cute puppy and kitten pics after reading this. My ex-girlfriend had this really weird fetish where she dressed up like herself and acted like a f***ing bitch all the time. I realized that during the span of 5 years, she wasn't in love with me. She was in love with the idea of me. I genuinely loved this girl. But her ideal night would be coming home from work and just instantly putting on scrub clothes and just eating junk food and watching on-demand TV all night. Weekends. Same thing. TV all day. On the other hand, I'm pretty active. And love going out and meeting new people. Playing sports. Trying new things. Once the newness wore off, it just felt like I was missing out on life. I can't tell you how many times I tried to get her to join my gym or accompany me to something I wanted to do. She wanted me to be in her life. But she didn't want to be in mine. Because she had a penis. Well oh la dee da. Look at MR. He said Firefly was a bad show. He also said Game of Thrones was slow and boring. Meanwhile he watches reality shows all the time. It was a bit of a lead up. Like a week or two. We still talk every now and then since we go to the same university. And no, I do not really regret it. It was short, about 2 months, and we had fun. So, you like Firefly, Game of Thrones, and you are currently single? So mine was a sudden breakup for good reason. We were round at her house watching a movie. She needed to go to the bathroom and said the remote in the drawer was a little loud, so I wanted to turn it down. I reached in and found something scary. A small satanic Bible and a 11 blade, which was neatly bookmarking satanic sex and offering virgin blood. I was a virgin at the time, so the dots connected quickly. I closed the book, left it on her bed and walked out. We have never spoke since. TL. DR. Found satanic Bible hidden in my girlfriend's room, marking a ritual which would use me as a sacrifice. I am calling bullshit. The satanic Bible doesn't have passages about human sacrifice. Oh. What? She was a fat, lazy, and ambitious leech who wanted nothing more in life than to be a fat, lazy, stay-at-home mother. The real question is why I stayed with her so long. And the answer to that, my friends, is butt sex. Full stop. It. After we broke up, she was pregnant to another guy within 2 months. And is now a fat, lazy, stay-at-home mother. At least she's happy.